All right, thank you, Noah. Joshua Perry, Ahmed Fareed, Chris Simms, and Nicole Auerbach. We got you before we get to UCLA and Washington at the bottom of the hour. But, Joshua, let's just react to what we heard there from Terry Smith. It seems like a groundswell of support around Terry Smith for him to be the new guy going forward for Penn State.
I mean, we heard Mike Robb during halftime. He was very adamant about Terry Smith. We just heard Todd Blackledge, who played there. He was adamant about, listen to this. Terry Smith said, it's my locker room. They trust me. They listen to me, right? So he feels like he has those guys. They believe in him. They go for him. I know that you have to do a wide-ranging search, but the momentum feels legitimate about Terry Smith and what he means to Penn State.
Right, yeah. I don't disagree. I mean, again, he's homegrown. We know he can get in-state talent. They do believe in him. But, again, you also got to be careful about listening to a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds, too. And that's where the AD and the adults in the room are going to have to make a decision here, because does he appeal nationally, I think, is also part of it. They can't just depend on in-state kids all the time.
I mean, Nicole, you're the best insider in the business. You got your finger on the pulse of all this stuff. Is there really a legitimate chance that Terry Smith is the next head coach?
Well, these guys made the point, right? He hasn't been interviewed for this position, and that's what Todd was making the plea for and the pitch for. This is one of the best jobs in the country. They're going to have a national search, and they have had that. They're making those phone calls. They're trying to hit a home run with this hire. It would just seem underwhelming to me if you fired James Franklin just to hire his top assistant.
That's where I'd like to go. So we couldn't stand James Franklin. I heard talk for 3 years about now we're going to keep his assistant with all of James Franklin's assistants, and we're going to expect different results. Right, that's just the thing I would question. I hope he can prove me wrong, and he does get the job, sure. But it's certainly something I question sitting here right now.
Part of the reason you get here, though, is what we saw with James Franklin being fired. Now, all of a sudden, you see all these other coaches that were targets get extensions, and you're kind of, as Penn State, you're holding the bag a little bit. Like, where do we go from this? Then if you go and get the national guy maybe you want, players are going to leave. James Franklin is probably going to bring a lot of those guys to Virginia Tech. It feels like you're almost rebuilding from a place where you thought you could win a title this year.
Right.
And that's part of the conundrum of when you fire a coach in this era.
Correct. But I also wonder, when you think about it like that, in that calculation, how many times have guys made decisions try to keep a recruiting class together or keep a couple players and it doesn't work out?
Yeah, that recruiting class is gone. They've got 17 decommits. Like, I think they're looking at guys in-house in what that means for the stability of the program.
But aren't the best guys headed out anyway?
Well, the best guys are probably guys that you're looking at from other rosters, too. Like, the next coach is going to come in, and he's going to have identified who he wants that could play this upcoming year. Yeah. So you can't be emotional in the decision. I get it, because he means a lot to that school.
Right.
There's a lot to think about.
And that's why this happens with interim coaches all the time.
Doubt.
I mean, we're about to talk about UCLA and Washington, right? UCLA had an incredible three-game stretch, with Tim Skipper, when everyone was wondering if he could keep the job. I mean, it happens in these situations.
Right.